Welcome back, guys. Today I have Logan Pfeifer back with me today. We're going to be talking about vulnerability. As far as the channel, Heal in Real Life, that's probably like the most vulnerable thing that I've ever done. Essentially, like, you guys know my entire life. Not really, but you guys know a lot about me. The reason I'm doing it is because I want people to like feel that they're not alone in these struggles, because everything I've talked about, I know for a fact, people have reached out to me. It has been really cool to see people come out of the woodwork saying, okay, like, I want to be a part of this. That's the whole reason for the channel. The channel's purpose is to shed light on these things. A lot of these things are like taboo, right? They're not really talked about a whole lot. And I think it's important to shed light on these things, because if we don't, then I think they just kind of gain power in the dark.
My issues are very, very personal things. And when you put it out there, it's, at least with like what happened with me, it's, you have two options you're going to see in front of it. It can either be they're going to use that and keep it with them so they know that you trust them with all this, or you just essentially just gave them your kryptonite, man.
Mm-hmm.
Does it hurt? Yeah. Does it suck? Absolutely. You want your pound of flesh, you want eye for an eye. At the time I did. I wanted, like, payback and everything. But it's just gonna make things kind of worse.
Mm-hmm.
So you just kind of got a little bit of, my thing was swallowing my pride, swallowing my ego, and is forgiving them.
Right.
And it's not for necessarily them, but more just so you can at least move on. Decide just to take a deep breath, look at it in a whole. Again, the thing that you and I also now have been really working on is the biggest thing is perspective. Mm-hmm. Instead of looking through everything through a keyhole, looking through a windshield instead.
Yeah. Vulnerability is a huge risk. And like you said, like once it's out there, it's out there. The same thing goes with personal relationships. Like, once you put that foot forward, like, now there's no going back. And that can be really scary. And that ultimately builds trust. Like, at the end of the day, like, if you're not vulnerable, if everything is just surface level, there's going to be no trust. And at least with you and I, and with me and a few other friends, like, that is what has kept us going, is like being vulnerable, like sharing those deep, dark things that like not a lot of people know about, right? And having no judgment. I think that's the biggest part, is like, once someone is vulnerable with you, like, it is now your responsibility to be as non-judgmental as possible, because they just risked it all, right? You're gonna put it out there, and sometimes it's gonna slap you in the face, and sometimes it's going to make a deeper connection.
If somebody telling me essentially their deepest, darkest secrets, or they open it, the metaphor I always use is Pandora's box, because once it's open, it can't be closed.
What has happened, and you can't change it. I do think it is important, though, to look back and think about what you would have done differently, right? Just like when like a post game, like reviewing tape.
Yep.
In football.
Yep.
Right. This is where we messed up. This is where we could have done better. Right. Okay. Moving forward, here's what we're doing. Right. Or you like a use of force critique.
Or again, it's or debrief from just an incident.
Sure.
Where you're just laying out the facts. Mm-hmm. You're hitting all the bullet points. You're just thinking what could have been, mm-hmm. and how you could have done better. And now, at least when it comes down to me at that point, I'm seeing what I could have done better. Now I want to make a game plan.
You touched on something where it's like, you can't necessarily make a game plan. Like, you go through a breakup, you go through a divorce or whatever. You can't make a game plan for that situation, right? It's happened. But what you can make a game plan for is yourself, right? Is, okay, what am I going to do to address these behaviors? What am I going to do to address these traumas that have been plaguing me for however many years? And that's what I have really tried to do in the last 2 months, is just make that game plan saying, okay, like, this is who I want to be, here are my goals, and this is how I'm going to do it. And hindsight is important, because I look back and say, okay, this is what the old Ty did, this is how he screwed up, these are the results that he garnered. And just going forward and saying, okay, let's try this path instead, let's try this instead. Easier said than done sometimes, but I have seen a lot more, I guess, success in my authenticity by doing those things, and like say, okay, I'm just going to be me, like stop being who I thought I needed to be during those times. In past relationships, I did morph into someone that I did not appreciate, I did not respect, someone that I felt I needed to be, and it just, again, garnered really bad results. And obviously there were several moments of good, several moments of success and great memories in those relationships. Hindsight, important, but don't dwell there. Experience forces perspective.
Yes.
And you touched on that earlier, is that like we have really gained a broader perspective throughout the last couple of months, just in life in general. And having that perspective, I think, is really important, because it's not just through the lens of Ty, it's not just through the lens of Logan, it's through the lens of so many different factors and so many different things. And really understanding perspective and understanding that, like, it's not just our path, it's not just our way.
Especially when it comes down to like damage to others and everything. I mean, I touched on that in the first video we made. Even damage your wake. Especially when you get heartbroken, especially if it's like your legit first like heartbreak. I mean, at that point, you don't want to get your heart broken again.
Right.
It just turns to hurt people, man.
Yep. That's a quote that my mom has always said, hurt people, hurt people. And you hit it on the head too. Those things that we were doing, defense mechanisms.
Yep.
Right? A lot of the topics that I've talked about on the channel are defense mechanisms. And it's just, you're safeguarding your heart. And those things go way, way back, right? Back to childhood, to your teenage self. Like there's a lot of impressionable ages throughout our lives, and the traumas and the stuff that we experience in those times still affect us to this day. And if we don't address it, then we exude behaviors that I talk about on the channel.
I don't want people to make the same mistakes I did, because at the end of it, it's just gonna be a cycle of just damn hurt. And at least I'll speak for myself with this. Sometimes I just gotta also stop breaking my own damn heart.
Yeah, that's ultimately what it is.
Because I mean, you can just keep beating yourself up, and then you're just gonna keep breaking your own heart. The solace you can get from that is at least you're learning.
Right.
I mean, that's ultimately what it is. I mean, were you learning then when you were, I'm gonna be blunt, were you being a moron? Were you learning then? No, you didn't. No, you didn't care. You just didn't want to deal with it.
Or didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Sometimes you just can't fix all your stuff on your own. Sometimes you just need legitimately help. I mean, that's why I've now been consistently going to therapy from September to about now, having an accountability partner, keeping me honest, keep me accountable, but also, yes, bringing up my misdeeds that I've done, but still bringing up all the good. I see myself differently. Everyone else sees actually the good parts of me.
Yeah. That's a big part of this journey too, is like really understanding how much good you have to offer the world, right? And that goes hand in hand with the self-love that we talked about last time. And when you have that self-love, you are able to again have that perspective, right? Have that wider perspective. Oh, I am actually capable of this. I can do that. I've always done this. It's not just about the negative stuff. It's not just about correction, right? It's about understanding what you've always had, the positive things that people have always seen in you that you're, I guess, discovering about yourself, right? And or rediscovering, because some of the things that I'm rediscovering about myself, I've always known. Like at one point in my life, I was like, yeah, I was that, and I'm getting it back now, and that's really cool and positive to see.
My stepmom said to me yesterday during a family thing, I didn't want to cry, like tear up or anything around the family event because I just didn't want to look like I just didn't want to look weak or nothing. Everyone knows I'm physically strong. There's no secret with that one. But you can be physically strong and just not mentally strong.
Yeah.
I mean, goodness, I can tell you that I struggle with that part. But she's amazed at how resilient I was to this whole thing. And she used those words, how like I'm stronger than I know mentally, and that
Stronger than you think you are.
yeah, it's like it's different benching 400 pounds. But dealing with your own personal demons is a different kind of strength, and her reassuring me of that is probably, if I got a Christmas gift, that's probably the best one I got. When I was at my lowest of lows, and I hit you up, and you told me to actually, like, pray. And I mean, you say it or not, everyone's talking to somebody out there, or talking to themselves. You told me to pray, and not just to pray. We all see on TV, books. You just told me just to let it out, and I mean just have a full. It's you and the big guy, and you're letting it out there. And let me tell you, that was probably if that was a Christmas present, that was the best Christmas present too, man. Because I mean, I let it out. I broke down. I was on my way from work, and yeah, it was just, that was awesome.
I'll never forget that, when I was just like, Logan, you've tried everything. You've tried everything in the temporal sense. It is time to get spiritually connected. You need to talk to God. You need to bring this to him. And I just remember you were a man of very few words. You were like, okay,
Yeah,
I will.
I don't say much.
And
I'll still talk to you. I just don't say much.
it was maybe an hour or two later, and you're like, I did it. I let it all out. I screamed, I cried, I yelled, and that's what God wants.
Yeah.
God wants you to be vulnerable with him. God wants you to be real with him. True, honest, sincere prayer. Like you're putting your entire emotion into it, right? And not every prayer is going to be like crying and breaking down, but
it's also not going to be like the one, like, it's not like you're a genie in a bottle, right, where you get your 3 wishes or you're asking for what you want. I tried everything, every little thing. I mean, the quote mostly I live by is, either I'll find a way or I'll make a way. Well, I was presented where I've done everything I can, everything humanly possible. Sure enough, best week of my life to the best month of my life. To where there were things where I normally would I'd wait for something to happen. When I say giving up control, it's not, because we all want to take control of our life. Words are an important person of mine. It's in God's hands. And so, or go with God. And you know what? I did. And
yeah,
suited me very, very well.
Trusting God. It's a hard thing to fully do, but I've seen you do that in the last month, and you've truly changed as a person. And it's not only just asking God for what you want, it's also like thanking Him for when you get it, right? And expressing gratitude. I mentioned in one of my previous videos is that having that connection or reconnection with God for me has been huge in my healing journey. Perhaps one of the most important parts. And like looking forward, like I don't see a life without that, just because the best parts of my life have always included God. And when He has taken a back seat in my life, and not by His means, by my means, life just gets real complicated in a bad way. And I don't want to do that again. That's not where I want to be. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have God back in my life, and I'm grateful to have helped you establish that connection too, which is, again, amazing. I can't put into words how cool that is. Healing's painful, but it's also so rewarding.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like at the end of the day, like it causes wounds to open up even more. It causes a lot of pain in areas you didn't know that were painful, and it helps you understand yourself better. And I am very, very grateful for this time, even though, like I have said repeatedly, like this is one of the hardest times of my life. It is also, I think, the time of the greatest growth, like hands down. And I'm very proud of that, and nobody can take that away from me.
No. No one can. And I'm with you along that line, where the last 4 months have been hell. Life just keeps going, but you don't have to just say you're going to go through it by yourself, or go back to your defense mechanisms, or what you did back then. I'm tired of not only hurting people, I'm tired of hurting myself also. Now I'm trying to see one who's still in my corner, where I can tell him anything without judgment or betrayal or whatever but also knowing that still having the friends that will be like, hey, you're an idiot, but we love you, and we're gonna keep loving you.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We've talked about a lot of stuff today. It's been kind of more of a heavy episode, but no regrets. These things are very important to talk about. It's been a pleasure having you back on the channel. Until we see you next time, chin up, deep breath, let's heal in real life.
Merry Christmas.